golfexpert.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Above Par Golf Show. Today's guest from South Africa is Derick Vorster. So he's a fitness coach as well as an avid golfer. Derick, how are you doing today? Thanks for joining me.
Very excited to be on your show. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you very much. So I mentioned there, obviously, you're a fitness coach. So just tell us maybe a little bit about yourself, as well as the golf side, kind of how you got started in golf, but also kind of what you do outside of golf as well.
Yeah, well, I started playing golf actually, which was one of the last sports I started to play when I was growing up. I'm from a very sport background. So my parents loved tennis, for instance. They were very good tennis players. They actually met in university playing tennis. So, and I played all the sports, you know, the South African typical sports growing up, rugby, cricket, tennis. And I think I was only in about 13 years old. So that would be about grade 7, just before high school, growing up, when I actually first tried to play properly, you know, proper golf. If you don't count those little plastic clubs when you're very little and you're playing on the lawn and things.
Yeah.
And I'm looking that way and down and that way, and my mom was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "That's what they do on TV. They do that." And then hitting the ball and all. But I played for the first time when I was about 13, and flipping terribly difficult game, as we all know, starting out. But and just I got hooked like most avid golfers, most golfers who play a lot, and actually played until the end of high school quite often. And then I was kind of known as the golf player in my school. I wasn't in a very big school, but so golf wasn't, you know, the most popular. It was one of those normal schools where rugby is the thing, or cricket, which I did too. But golf was for me a favorite. So near the end of high school, I was playing a lot of tournaments. I think my handicap was about 5 or 6, and so my results were getting worse because the handicap's lower, so it's difficult to play well.
Yeah.
And and then I actually stopped for about 10 years after school.
Oh wow.
University, sports, like CrossFit and things that came about, and then I started to study fitness. So all sorts of distractions, the normal university distractions as well, the nights out and things that you shouldn't do too much. But and then I think golf just kind of faded for a while, and now very recently, about a year back, and some good friends told me, you know, they're going to play Fan Court. If you know Fan Court, one of the beautiful courses in Western Cape here. So I joined them for that. It was actually really fun. We made what did we do? We did like a Ryder Cup amongst us. We had 4 of us, Team Europe, and 4 of us, Team America. And it was like a serious competition, but also fun, you know, fines meetings after each day and things like that. So, and since then I've been playing quite regular again. Yeah.
So what was it that maybe made you fall in love with golf rather than the other popular sports like cricket or rugby?
Yeah, a good question. I did enjoy cricket and rugby and tennis and those things at school, and being at a small school like I was, it was a co-ed school. It was, you kind of required to almost, you're asked very sort of, they ask you in a serious way to take part in as many sports as possible, because they can see you fairly talented, and so they need you because the school is small. And obviously my folks were very concerned, you know, playing rugby, for instance, that I would pick up an injury that would stop my golf completely. But luckily it didn't happen. And as much as I enjoyed those, I realized, you know, closer to the end of high school, I would have to choose 1 or 2, because you don't really have enough days in the week to actually fit it all in. And for instance, my tennis just started to suck. I couldn't hit the backhand, and then opponents pick it up immediately. They'll hit straight to my backhand all the time. So I thought, okay, let me just discontinue tennis first and Obviously, there was disappointment because I was achieving fairly well in tennis at that time. And then after that, kind of your final exams come about, and then you realize, oh, geez, I don't have time for cricket either now. And so let me drop that. And so golf was kind of the thing you can do all the time, whether you've got friends to do it with or not. And I think that's partly a reason. But I also just the challenge of it, you're always thinking, okay, I birdied this hole last time, maybe I can birdie it again, and you've always got that challenge with golf, which is really nice. And you can play it alone, you can play it with friends. Obviously it's nicer for me to play with friends of mine, but I play so many rounds alone, even because my hours are different. So I play rounds alone as well, and I enjoy it almost just as much. So those kind of things, and the challenge golf brings, I think I relished that challenge every time.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of common answers that people give, and it's probably one of mine as well. In terms of, number one, it's that whole challenge of it's different from sports, isn't it? Like you said, maybe one time you break 100, and then now it's like, okay, well, what's the next goal? So it's break 90, and that's a common answer that a lot of golfers give, and myself included. But then the second point is also a good one as well. It's one of those sports whereby you can go and play on your own, or you can go and play with a group of friends and still just enjoy it the same. So I think it's something that's quite common, and that's definitely what I relish with is with the challenge. It's like, right, well, what's the next goal? What can I do next now to keep improving? And I think you can never really achieve a final goal in golf, can you?
Yeah, exactly. And that's really cool as well. And there's so many parallels with say golf and fitness or CrossFit, or the coaching classes I take part in as well. It's you're never going to be perfect at anything. You're just going to keep approaching perfection, which is really nice. I think it shouldn't discourage you. It should actually rather encourage you to try and keep approaching that perfect lift, if it's a lift in the gym, or if you're starting to hit your drives 9 out of 10 fairways, you can focus on that 10 out of 10. And I think that's really nice as well. And yeah, so it's just a lot of parallels in between fitness and golf, which we can discuss in a minute, I guess. But I feel like they really complement each other in a lot of ways, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that then about the kind of fitness side. So what sort of age did you get into, well, maybe fitness in general, but then you're also a coach, aren't you? So when did you kind of start to decide that was something that you wanted to do as well in your life?
Yeah, exactly. I really enjoyed just obviously trying to be healthy and look good, and those kind of things that come with it. But initially, in university, when I was like not quite sure what to do or what to study, and then you kind of take those little what do you call it, those aptitude tests, or those tests that you meet with a psychologist, and they ask you, would you rather go out with friends or would you stay at home? And then
career
you want to
advisors.
study fitness. Yeah, it's like a personality kind of a test. So those ones all came up like, oh right, you enjoy sports, so you should study a sports science degree. So that was kind of one of the things I did. I didn't complete that, but I finished a psychology kind of degree. And then so I said to my folks, what now? And they said, okay, well, what do you want to do? So I said, well, I'm enjoying the gym. The gym's really nice. I want to kind of find out more how to do that. How do I train properly, or how do I get myself into good shape? What's the correct way to do it? So they said, all right, take a personal training course. And then, so for the next year or two, I was kind of busy with that. And then, so I was in a regular gym for a few years. I was at a Virgin Active, actually, in the Eastern Cape. I was working at a Virgin Active as a trainer for about 3.5, 4 years, which was good, was nice. And at that time, CrossFit was kind of coming into South Africa. So we had, a friend of mine, it's like, hey, dude, come and try this. It'll kill you. And I said, I'm not sure if I want to, but okay, whatever. It's probably just one of these fads that's going to pass. And then I did this workout. It was like really tough, really like not what I was used to doing, bench pressing or, pull-ups. And then this workout was super intense, like a lot of burpees and things that I did. And I was like, that was terrible. Let's do it again. I want to try it again.
Yeah.
So and then from there, I decided, well, let's get a CrossFit certificate as well and get qualified in that. And so it just kind of went from there, and I started coaching for various CrossFit gyms in mostly Eastern Cape and Western Cape in South Africa. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was at the time when I wasn't playing golf much. I was maybe the odd once a year or so, where friends would be, oh, you want to come play some golf? And I said, oh yeah, I can kind of play. Let's try it out. And yeah, and now I'm really enjoying the golf and CrossFit together. It's actually the first time I realized that I still have a passion for playing golf, and I can manage my time and do golf and CrossFit if I just manage it properly.
Yeah, well, I saw on your Instagram account, which is it's Derick Golf, if anybody wants to check out Derick. And you're also an English teacher as well. Is that something you're still doing, or is that something else? Yeah. So you're managing English teacher, fitness coach, as well as golf.
Yeah, that's actually that's more, the bulk of my income right now is English online teaching, which I do for a company based in Europe. So it's not one of those that you talk to young children in China or something. It's actually talking to Europeans and adults. So most of them are kind of from Spain and Italy and Germany and so on. And they are very interesting to talk to. It's nice to learn from them and all. And they share about what's happening in Spain or what's happening with the pandemic. And so my friends like to hear from me, what are the similarities in the lockdown over there and what's happening in South Africa. And generally South Africa is behind, but it's okay. So it's fun to draw those comparisons with the teaching as well. Yeah.
So before you kind of took that 10-year gap out that you mentioned, you were still going to the gym when you were playing golf before that 10-year gap, right? You were going to the gym and playing golf. And then obviously now you're doing the CrossFit and golf. So have you noticed any differences in your game in terms of how well you play and how you feel doing the sport or playing the sport, in terms of when you were training just regularly in the gym and now that you're training in CrossFit? Do you feel better for that, or how does it vary?
Yeah, that's an awesome question, actually. The very first thing I noticed, I was actually home with the folks and having a round of golf with my mom, and she still plays a little bit. I try and get her to play, and I'm standing there, and it's one of my first rounds of golf in now this 10-year gap. Now I'm like, this feels weird, and I'm sure you had a round of golf after a while.
Sure.
I'm like, I don't know where this is gonna go, Mom. I don't know when I'm gonna hit it. So I hit, I think it was a 4-iron, and it went way further than I planned it to go. So either that is all the strength training over the years. I mean, your body will take a change in any case in 10 years, but my the strength in hitting the ball for me is way better than I would say than at matric or in my last years of high school. So you definitely notice an increase in your distance, and but more recently I would say, now that I'm playing more regularly again, I'm more focused on more of the accuracy. So as I think I mentioned to you before, one of my less consistent parts of my game is my driving. So I won't easily take the driver out the bag to hit. I'll probably take a 3-wood or a 5-wood, and then my friends are like, "Oh, come on, dude, don't be a chicken." But generally, I'll take a driver if it's for like a par 5, or if I know there's a chance to maybe get near the green in 2, then I'll take a driver. But for me at the moment, the driver is a little bit of a risky club. But definitely I would say to answer you regarding that is you feel more strength in your swing and more stability, because you're also doing a lot of core things in the gym, and obviously that the rotations and your hips and the core strength is very important. So those have definitely made a difference, I think.
Yeah, I was going to move on to that in terms of asking you your opinion on on what you think the most important parts are to obviously strengthen. And you mentioned the core there that we all know is very important. What else would you say is the keys in terms of, you know, improving the strength of your body that will then help you then improve your golf game?
Yeah, awesome. So apart from straight up building strength and having a good solid core when you're doing those rotations, and I think definitely very importantly is the mobility. Keep maintaining your flexibility the years as you go on, and that's why I've just I know that CrossFit is sometimes controversial in terms of its intensity and, you know, injury risk, and people are always like, oh, CrossFit, but there's some really great things about CrossFit, and a typical good CrossFit class, which involves normally a warm-up element, a strength element, and then a sort of intensity part of the session, all of those things combined. And then you also have like typically a mobility few minutes where you, for instance, if we're doing a lot of, say, deadlifts that day, then you'll do a lot of mobility for your lower back, and, you know, a couple of cat camel stretches and those kind of things to prepare your spine that you're going to lift these weights. And so definitely, you know, mobility very importantly, because as we get older, we obviously lose that you know, we lose that elasticity in our muscles. So whereas my swing can maybe now be a full shoulder rotation, that will only be kind of a half a rotation in 10 years time if I don't pay any attention to my flexibility. So I think that's another very important thing that will play a role.
Yeah, I actually spoke to somebody else that's kind of into the fitness side of golf, maybe not CrossFit, but she was always talking about, you know, how she'd have to balance the obviously the days that she does exercise and workouts, because sometimes, you know, if she does maybe a workout the day before or the same day that she's playing golf, she obviously just finds that she's completely exhausted or just doesn't have that same stamina to play. So as you mentioned there, CrossFit is quite intense. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd probably say it's more intense than regular gym workouts. So how do you find that as well? Like, are you obviously planning the days that you're working out and planning the days that you practice or play golf?
Yeah, that's really makes me think of a while back. I was playing with this friend of mine in Paarl. It's a town just nearby where I'm staying in Western Cape, close to Cape Town, and I'm playing kind of regularly with this friend of mine, and he's gotten me into golf again, and he's playing, I think, about a 1 or 2 handicap right now, so he's playing freaking well. But he invites me for, you know, a better ball tournament in the weekend, or the coming Saturday, and so we obviously talk leading up to the weekend, and he goes, I think it's like Thursday or Friday, and he's like, "Jeez, my legs are broken, I can't walk." And I said, "What the hell did you do?" And he's like, "No, I was in the gym, and we're doing." He's sending me the workouts, and he's also got. I can see, you know, these workouts. This guy is definitely familiar with CrossFit kind of things, and there's a bunch of burpees in there. There's pull-ups. There's all sorts of stuff. There's rowing. I'm like, "What the hell are you doing, dude? We've got a competition in 2 days, and now you can't swing the club." And we have a laugh, and then he says, "Yeah, well, you got to make all the points because your handicap's 7 or 8." Or I said, "Yeah, but still, like those that 2 handicap of yours, you still got to make some contribution, you know, or play badly, let your handicap go up." And so it really reminds me, yeah. So it is important to manage that. And I said to him, "Look, next time just train your legs the day before and not your upper body, so you can at least swing the club, you know.
Yeah.
I'll carry you on the course. You make birdies for us." And yeah, then sometimes I do really feel, I've got pain in my back or in my shoulders, but luckily not an injury kind of pain, just the normal muscle soreness pain where you've trained. And yeah, I have learned a few times the hard way to try and manage that a bit better, because I'm just like, I can't swing today. I have to rely completely on perfect timing instead of actually swinging, because I'm so tired from the training. So yeah, it's important to manage.
And you mentioned before about that you're working on the accuracy side then. So as you've seen that improvement with maybe the distance, did you notice any lack of accuracy or a decrease in accuracy? Is that why you're working on it, or did you just decide to work on it anyway?
accuracy was, I think, terrible in the first few months when I started playing again.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure where I'm going to hit the ball.
But what I meant by that
definitely,
question was like, do you think that is maybe just because you had that time out, or would you maybe link it
yes.
as well to the fact that you are now more powerful in terms of the strength and the distance you're able to get in your shots, that maybe that's then damaged the distance, the accuracy a little bit?
Yeah, I think both of those things. Yeah, it's in terms of normally strength and accuracy are kind of a inverted scale, eh? So the more power you have, then you sacrifice a bit of control. And so I tried to kind of find a middle ground after that day. So I'd more often pull my 3-wood or my 5-wood out the bag and sacrifice that bit of distance and try and get the ball in the fairway. Because my first couple of rounds back, and I was just smashing the ball as far as I could. And I mean, you've got the nice distance on that, but you're lying in a bush or next to, you got a terrible lie in the rough. So it's probably going to take you 2 or 3 other shots to now get to the green.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is again my friend Stefan from Ball. He's really much more accurate player than me. I think that's his main strength over me. He'll say, for instance, on a par 5, from the start he'll plan to get there with 3 shots, and for instance, I'll attack it and I'll say, well, maybe I can get there in 2. So that's probably why he's a bit more consistent golfer than me. But yeah, and the accuracy did come back again with the practice and feeling what you do. I'm more of a feel golfer. I can hit the ball outright and I know immediately what I did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I could work on those things a little bit, and it's getting a bit better. Yeah.
That's good then that you can kind of feel that. I mean, do you work with a coach as well, or have you kind of self-taught yourself?
No, I haven't since I started again the past year. I've just been playing with a friends and watching the odd YouTube video, seeing what's happening or what kind of tip I might get. But luckily, I haven't had a kind of consistent problem like a slice or a hook or something. And it's more of a problem of you're pushing the ball slightly out to the right, or you pull that one left. And I don't know if it's luck or if I'm just lucky that I can feel that kind of thing, but I can feel exactly what I did. My hands came up through a bit too early there, or my wrist just opened up completely, or my hips weren't coming through at the right time. So generally, I think I'm lucky in that way. I can feel what I did wrong and
Sure.
try and adapt it, try and fix it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice trait to have, isn't it? Because I think it's one of the most important things when you're out on the course actually playing around. I mean, during practice, you can obviously video your swing, take a break and see what you're doing. But during the round of golf, unless you've got time to have somebody film you and then watch it back, you've got to try and figure out what it is that you're doing wrong, if you are doing something wrong on the course, haven't you? So yeah, it's a really nice trait to have.
Yeah.
Wish I had
Well,
it.
I was just wondering, yeah, I mean, for you, for instance, if you that this is curious on my part. I mean, I can generally feel what I did. I can't necessarily fix it straight away, but I can feel, oh geez, I'm always doing that, or I'm always pulling that to the left or something. So would you kind of, if you are making a consistent error, would you do something similar, or would you ask your friend to check it out? How would you do it?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm on the practice range, like I said, I'm always kind of videoing my swing and doing drills. I'm not the kind of person that will go and just kind of hit 50 balls, without looking at any of the swings. So
Yeah.
I'll always make sure that I'm doing good practice rather than, it's quality over quantity, right? So I'm videoing a swing, and then, if I'm doing some good ones, I'll kind of just let it go and just, keep hitting it while I'm doing it nicely. But then if I do hit one that's going right or left or what have you, then I will kind of make sure to have that on video and have a look at it. And I think with me, you mentioned there that some people just either have a slice or they have a hook. I think we all tend to have our bad shots, right? Or something that we do wrong when we do something wrong. So it's normally not easy, but it's quite it's quite easy to identify what specific thing it is that I'm doing that's caused that shot. So yeah, I have kind of 2 or 3, especially when I started golf, and it would be either a slice, or I tend to hit down on the ball quite a lot, so I'm not shallowing the club enough. So I know that obviously if I'm not getting a real good bit of contact on it and it's going straight, that is one of my bad shots, if you like. And without even looking at a video, I know that I'm maybe coming down on the ball a little bit too much, rather than shallowing the club out and coming, nicely down at it and getting good contact. So yeah, I think to answer the question, I think with me personally, if it was on the course or if I've not got a video there, I normally know, depending on what the bad shot is, what I'm normally doing wrong. Then it's just a case of trying to get the focus back and make sure I'm doing what I was, taught to do when I hit those bad shots.
That's so true. I think it really comes down to try and keep it as simple as possible. Like I've got another good friend. We sometimes play around in Vorster, where I'm staying. It's a beautiful course, but he's also he's just starting out. So he's like, yeah, dude, please give me any tips anytime. And I'm wary of trying to tell him too much information. So I've always, also when I'm playing on my own, or if I'm just practice swinging, I'm trying not to think about a million things, because I know that I'm probably going to mess it up. So I'm normally just thinking, okay, take the practice shot. That feels good. Don't think too much to do it again. All right. Feels good still. Let's hope the real thing is also good now. So that's, as you mentioned, I think it's, you can feel what's going on, but if I'm helping out, or if I'm coaching a friend or something, I'm going to try and keep it as simple as I can. But even for myself, I really try and just don't think about the shoulders, the hips, and the wrists, and the foot positioning. There's a million things that you can think about if you want to. And I actually just skip some YouTube videos because they pop up like this. Okay, practice your drive and perfect your putts. And I'm like, no, I don't want to see that. You're going to tell me too much, and I'm going to think about it too much. So just trying to keep it as simple as possible, actually. And in most cases, it works better most of the time.
Yeah, I think too many swing thoughts is something that can ruin a lot of players, isn't it? I mean, as soon as you start thinking about it on the tee, or you stood over that ball for too long, you do tend to just, then you're hitting bad shots, aren't you? Because you just overthink it, and you're not really. You should be, once you've got your swing in place, it should all be muscle memory, right? That's how we work. It should be, my body knows what it's going to do during the swing. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying. For me, it's just, okay, right, so I've hit that to the right, so I know that I'm just doing this or this, and I maybe practice that kind of movement or thing that I know that I should be doing during the pre-shot routine. But then as soon as I stand over the ball, I'm trying to just basically go ahead and hit it. I don't want any kind of swing thought during the actual real shot. So yeah, I think it's a good point.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually more, I mean, maybe that's why us guys enjoy it, because you've got to try and blank your mind and not think about anything. So it made me think of something else right now. Yeah, but it's so true. I mean, I for instance, if I hit a ball slightly outright, and that is generally my first drive of the day, it's going to be a slight fade or just pushed outright, where my normal swing is actually a draw. So I know that it's going to be such a minor adjustment, and generally as the round goes on, you can make those little tiny adjustments, and that's what I also enjoy. Is you've got these very small modifications you got to make all the time while you thinking about your swing, or while you're thinking about your next shot. And I try to just think about the main thing. And as for instance, if it's a ball just next to the green, try and get it close. Don't try and focus on the actual chip shot and hitting it properly. Try and focus where I'm going to hit it.
Yeah.
But that also depends on where you are in your game. I mean, it just gives you a lot of comfort when you see something like Justin Thomas topping his 5-wood off the fairway. What is it? This recent tournament.
And he hits it towards his dad, something like that. So yeah.
So we know that it can happen to them. So I think we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves.
No.
Overall, I think. Yeah.
It's a good point. I think again, it's another reason why me and yourself and a lot of other people love golf, because I'm a football player originally. When I was younger, that was my sport. And I think once you've learned the majority of the techniques, okay, you're not going to do it perfect every time, but you'll very rarely do it too wrong. You always know how to pass a ball and shoot and what have you. But
Right.
yeah, with golf, as you mentioned there, even the professionals sometimes. I remember watching a tournament last year, I think it was, with Bryson DeChambeau, and I think he topped it off the tee and it went like 50 yards in front of him. And then his second shot, he shanked it off to the right, and he ended up with like a 9 or something. So
I think
it just
him
shows
and Lee
you.
Westwood were playing together, and they both had a shocking
Yes.
hole.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't know if it was last year, but it seems like it. Yeah, that's the tournament I
Yeah,
was talking about, and
it was a
Lee
few months
did
back.
the
Yeah.
same. So it's just interesting sometimes to see these guys. Not that you'd want to see it, but it's good to go. Oh, okay,
Yes.
maybe I'm not so bad at golf.
Yeah. I mean, if you're rooting for Bryson or Lee and they do something like that, then you're like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah,
But in a way, it's comforting to see that it
for
can
sure.
happen. And I mean,
As a
with us,
sorry,
tell me.
I was gonna say, as a fitness guy yourself, then what do you make of what Brighton's doing or has been doing recently?
Oh yeah, you mean with his whole
The bulking
well,
up
he had a whole
and building the
physique
strength.
change, eh?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to know exactly what he did, to if there was some kind of info on the exact routine he did, or his his periodization or whatever he did with his training. But clearly it's paid off to some extent. He's got that nice distance now, and I think it's a nice advantage to have, definitely, as long as you can use it to your advantage and not not hit the ball out of bounds or anything. But he seems to actually have some good control over that nice big swing as well. So I'm pretty impressed with him, and I think on that note, when for instance when Tiger came on in the late 90s and just looked so strong and good and solid, I think that is when there was almost a mind shift, in my opinion, in terms of maybe it is important to involve fitness in playing golf, and maybe that actually does give you some edge or some element of advantage over the field when you actually pay attention to your fitness and your strength and your core. And I'm sure well, this is my opinion, but I think that as a result of Tiger's success and just his good physique, especially back then, that a lot of golfers also had that little mind shift and in focus and paying more attention on looking good or being in good shape and helping them with their golf game.
Yeah, I think it's obviously a topic that a lot of people are talking about, and it just seems that people are talking about it like it's something that's completely new in the game, when I feel like it's not exactly something new, whereby people are looking for more strength and more distance. It's always happened in golf, and there's always been players that are stronger than others and are able to get that kind of bigger distances. As you mentioned there, when Tiger came on the scene, he was obviously very athletic and very powerful, and it just now seems like it's a new era whereby you can bulk up and kind of get that change in distance like that. And I don't think it should be anything that's looked down on. I think if people can do it and still find that balance that you were talking about before between the accuracy and the distance, obviously if you are hitting it whatever 50 yards more but you're out of bounds all the time, then it's no good, is it? But he seems to more or less have it under control. I think he's still got a lot of work to do, hasn't he? But if I'm right in saying this, his percentage in terms of his accuracy has been increased since he was that kind of more, not smaller but maybe slimmer and not so muscular golfer. So he's clearly found a good balance with it now. I'm not 100% sure with him though. It just seems like sometimes I watch him and it does just look like, wow, this is incredible, what he's the advantage he's got now over the rest of the field. But then kind of like that shot, those shots there where I was just talking about him in that tournament with Lee, he does have those moments whereby he's kind of wildly out of control and he just doesn't know how to put a lid on it. And he will get these 8s and 9s and he will just have these really bad holes whereby it then tends to sometimes, ruin his tournament a little bit. I think the most recent was the US Open when he was leading after the first 9 holes, and then
Yeah.
he kind of just fell apart on those back 9. So he's obviously definitely made an improvement, but at the same time, it still feels like he's got a little bit to get under control. I mean, his wedges to me look like really inaccurate at times because he's constantly hitting it out the rough rather than the fairway. So, but it's really cool to see, and like I said, it seems like the new era now. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the field react, especially those like DJ and McIlroy that are already big hitters.
Yeah, they also get a nice distance on it actually. Who is the next best, or the next best in terms of distance? I think Rory is quite far up there. Hey? He's also hitting it quite long.
Yeah, I forget his name. I want to say that he's South African, but I'm not 100% sure. But he's just come from the European tour, and he was playing the other day, and he got pretty far. I think he was in the Sunday. On the Sunday, he was in contention, is what I wanted to say.
Was it perhaps Neen Arbor or?
Yes, that's him. Yep, that's the one.
Yes, he hits it long. Yeah.
Yeah, so he hits it longer than Bryson. Again, he had some of those whereby he's hitting the second shot out of the rough. But he seems to be a little bit more accurate than Bryson. So yeah, I mean he's one that's in that kind of category as well. But he's not muscular really. He's not like a big muscular guy. He's tall and very athletic, kind of like a DJ. And because of that, he just has this ridiculous ability to get the distance. So I don't think it's going to be all about putting on muscle. Obviously, that's going to help, and it always will. But yeah, there's guys like him as well now that are almost like a DJ, where they're just really tall and athletic.
Yeah, he's doing really well. And some of the South African guys. Well, I'm South Africa, so I'll obviously be a bit biased, but I'm quite excited to see Neen Arbor, and I'm very excited to see what Gary Kigo does in the next few years. He's exploded onto the scene.
Yeah.
So very impressive. If he checks out this podcast, he can definitely give me a shout if he wants some training. So yeah, him and of course Louis. I'm really hoping that Louis can pick up a win, because you probably seen all his runner-ups
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Just that last hurdle he needs to get over.
I know. I actually had a bet on him for the Open. I talked about this on a couple of the previous episodes. He's just so frustrating because he is always kind of that second guy, isn't he, when it comes to the majors? Such a great player as well, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what he's lacking. I mean, in that particular tournament, I talked about it a little bit, and for me, it was a little bit disappointing to see him not go for that shot on the 18th. I don't know if you watched that tournament. But
yes, now recently as well.
Yeah, he had that shot that went into the rough. I think it was on the par 5 18th when John Ram won, and it looked like a near impossible shot. I get that, but I feel like if he could have just got it on that right edge, on the front edge of the green, and give himself maybe a small chip in, it would have been better than trying to hole it from whatever it was, 150 where he laid up to. So like that was a little bit disappointing to see from him. I feel like. Again, I said it in a previous episode, I feel like a John Ram there is going to go for it no matter what and be aggressive. So I don't know whether it's that. Is he like, maybe too much of a nice guy sometimes, maybe just needs to have that little bit more between his teeth. I don't know, but I really hope he wins a major soon, another major again soon, because he's an incredible player. And I mean, he's the Open this weekend, I think, isn't it? So maybe he'll win that again. I think that was his first major, wasn't it?
Can just hope for him. Yeah, exactly. He did win it previously. I mean, obviously disappointing to see Louis in these tournaments where he plays so well. He just doesn't get over the last hurdle. But at the same time, like I must be very happy for John Rahm because of the previous one where he was asked to withdraw because of the COVID thing. I mean, so I'm actually really happy for him, and he deserves that. But also my dad mentioned, actually I was having a chat with him about it, and he's like, yeah, but these other guys are just coming with crazy shots on the last hole, like Bubba hooked it into the woods and then he hit his next shot out next to the hole, and it's just like crazy shots coming from other guys. And I'm like, yeah, but Louis must just make a par, So we had a nice debate on but maybe Louis surprises us. And I mean, he has won some. I think he has won the Masters, right? And
no, I mean, don't fact check me on it, but I believe he's only won the Open. I think that was his one and only win. and
Probably runner up the Masters as well.
yeah, I think he's had a
Yeah.
second at the Masters. He's had his second now at the US Open, I think once or twice, I want to say. But I'm almost certain that his only win was that Open, which was some years ago now. So hopefully maybe he'll get another win there. Yeah, I mean, he's an incredible player. I'm sure he'll win again, but he's not getting any younger. I don't know how old he is now, but is he late 30s, is he? Or is he, not sure if he's 40 just yet. But, so hopefully he does one soon.
Can have a Google about it as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's late 30s. But I do love watching Garrett here go.
He looks about late 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, 38.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, he's gonna have to do it soon. Obviously, with all these young guys that are coming through, like Garrick, you know, it's not going to be easy to win another one. So you've got to get onto it soon. But
yeah, exactly.
Love watching Garrick Higo as well. I mean, I've seen him a little bit in the European Tour, and obviously he had those. I think he won back-to-back, didn't he, in the European Tour just before then playing in the PGA, where he got that win. So again, looks like an incredible talent.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if he's still at that age where he doesn't quite understand what pressure is or what nerves are.
Maybe.
Because then he must take advantage of it, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe he just trusts his swing so well that he can just play well and forget about everything else. But you know, whatever he's doing, he should just keep doing it. And if he plays a bad hole, if he plays a bad round, he knows that he can just bounce back. You know, we all have terrible shots in terrible rounds sometimes, and I think, yeah, geez, he's impressive. I mean, I was playing a lot in high school and at the start of university and all, and I mean, I knew even at that age I'm going to come up against such insane players if I take this much further. So I wonder if it was a kind of a scary thought, and I thought, you know, I want to play golf and enjoy it more than what I want to be very super competitive at it. But I still really enjoy playing, you know, the odd club competition with a friend, or the odd even if you're just having a private game with someone, and I mean, it's always fun, and then you can get into their heads and banter with them and all. So that's kind of all good as well.
It's a good point about the pressure side of it. It'd be interesting to kind of know, you know, what his mindset is, because again, this is something that I've mentioned in previous episodes before, when talking to actually Anna Minami that you mentioned earlier, because she played college golf in the United States, but she was born in London. And my question to her was how she kind of felt that pressure when she went to play in college, and then obviously try to come out of college and maybe play in the LPGA, because I spent a little bit of time in America, and if you look at the way they develop their players in sports, they're all kind of they're all faced with pressure and media from a very early age. I'm not sure if you've ever spent any time there yourself, but like if you look on their US channels like Sports Center, they're showing baseball games of 9-year-olds playing in you know, Little League. And they're faced with media at an age like that, whereby, you know, literally thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands of people are not only watching them play, but then they're listening to their interviews. And in England, for example, that isn't exactly something that happens all the time. There's obviously younger players like those that played for England the other night that will be under pressure and have these media interviews, but it's not really something whereby everybody's watching like high school games here or college games of football. So I don't know what it's like in South Africa. Maybe you could give us a little bit more of an insight. But for me, I just find that always to be an advantage, because you look at these US stars, especially in golf, and they just seem ready the moment they come from, whether it's the Corn Ferry or whatever, to play in the PGA, the LPGA as well. They already seem ready for the pressure of winning. They already seem ready for the media, and it's pretty incredible. So I don't know how it is in South Africa.
Probably, well, I haven't really thought of it that much, but I think that's very interesting how you mentioned about the Little League. I've never heard of kids as young as that, you know, being interviewed. But I think it's probably important in terms of if you're going to take your game further and you're actually going to come onto the scene and you're going to start being known as a rising star kind of player, like a Garrick Higo or something like that, then you're going to have to accept and be ready for a lot of media attention and receive it gracefully. You know, probably what I would do if this was my case, I would definitely, appoint one or two psychologists or, sports PR people to help me out, because those are the kind of things you want to manage. And if you don't manage it well and you say something wrong on an interview, and it can quickly get twisted, or you painted as this player or this person that you're not really, and you're actually a fairly decent guy in person. So
Sure.
yeah, it's something important to manage well, definitely. And all the kind of pressure that comes with it. And I mean, it makes me also think now in terms of, we obviously sports family, and also we're watching Wimbledon now the past week, for instance, and talking about our favorite players, and my mom loves Djokovic and I get so tired of it. And for instance, in the women's part, I quite like Osaka, Naomi Osaka. And they told me, no, but she withdrew. And I said, oh, what's going on? I said, no, she just couldn't handle the media at the moment, and they're wanting them to interview the winner after each game. And I thought to myself, but she surely can't be expected to have to talk if she doesn't really want to. And I was very disappointed, because I'm a huge fan of her in terms of the ladies' tennis. And so it looks like there's a kind of shift in that direction, where the media is getting more and more involved and wanting to know more and more from the top sports players, and they have to accept, and they have to roll with it if they're going to be interviewed or spoken to. So I think that's what's interesting to note as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, because I remember watching the recent major from the ladies game, and I think it was Lexi Thompson that was leading on the final day, and then she ended up falling away and having a really bad day, and obviously didn't win, and I think she fell outside the top 10. But they were saying on the live channel that they wanted to kind of speak to her straight away and interview her. And you feel like it's just because obviously they want to talk to her because she fell apart and had a bad day. And she's somebody that spoke out a lot in terms of struggling kind of with her mental health and the pressure of the media and all that kind of thing. So I think in those situations, we have to allow these players to, be able to say, look, I'm just not ready right now. I think she said that she would do one the next day or later that night, but the minute she walks off the golf course isn't the correct time to start throwing questions at her of why she lost and why she fell apart. I mean, it can, we're all human, aren't we? And it can mess with somebody's mind, and we shouldn't be, or the media shouldn't be wanting to do that. So anyway, I think we need to find a balance. Obviously, it's of course in all their contracts, as it is in all sports, that they have to talk to media and do these press conferences, which is a big part of sport, and why we love watching different sports, is to hear why these people, well, not why they fell apart, but just the good stuff as well, right? Like Garrett Kigo straight after his win, we love to see all the emotion, etc. But at the same time, we do need to protect players and understand that they are humans as well. I mean,
Exactly,
Matthew Wolf as well is another one that spoke out recently about mental health. So we have to let them, sometimes just go, look, I'm not ready for this right now, and maybe I'll talk to you later on, and just leave them be.
Yeah, and I think they shouldn't hold that against them either. I mean, players who were human, we've had a terrible round. I mean, the last thing I want is to have a camera in my face, and I'm not even famous. And I think a lot of people enjoy that attention, like getting an interview or something. But if I've had a terrible round, then I might say something I regret to a camera. And
exactly,
hopefully that's not what the media is looking for. I mean, all of us, of course, want to know why. I would have liked to know the thoughts behind why Louis, for instance, didn't win the tournament and all. But not blaming him or anything. But
no.
I'm just as curious as anyone to see what his thought process was in that time, what went wrong, what he might have done different.
Sure.
But you can always ask him the next day or a few days after, maybe not right after he putted the last ball in. I mean, similarly to John Rahm, where you had to withdraw, I thought that was a little bit harsh, in my opinion, when they called him right at the 18th green just about and said, listen, you got to withdraw. And I thought that could have been done a little better. So time and place kind of thing.
Yeah, it kind of all happened in front of the cameras, didn't it? In front of all the crowd, and it was a little bit. It wasn't very discreet, should we say?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not really necessary either. But I'm glad that generally the public was behind him with that one.
Hmm.
They supported him in that. And I mean, it can happen to anyone. You're not suddenly a villain because you got COVID. I mean, I could get COVID
Yeah.
tomorrow, and I got to sit in my apartment. So yeah, I mean, the guys have got to. The media is kind of the bad guy sometimes, and
Hmm.
I understand members of the media, they need to get that story or they need to get that
Sure.
interview, but a little bit of compassion, it also helps, eh?
Yeah, I agree. So just before we kind of wrap this up, I want to go a little bit back to the fitness side of things, in terms of what you do. So have you got any like particular, I don't know, let's say workouts or exercises that you do specifically for golf, and what would you recommend that other people do that want to make sure that they keep it in shape to improve their golf?
Yeah, for sure. So as everyone knows, I'm coaching at a CrossFit gym, but I think there's a few things that you can definitely focus on, pay more attention to if you want to solidify or stabilize your golf game. And as I mentioned, core very important. A few good core works like the cat camel stretch, I know, and there's an exercise called the bird dog or figure four, and some sit up exercises, definitely strengthening the core. Farmers walks, those kind of things.
Hmm.
Off balance exercises are very good for core, maybe squatting with weight on one side of you, that kind of thing. I can provide more examples on my Instagram. I should probably make 1 or 2 videos on actually
Yeah,
good
that'd be
core
cool.
work. But general fitness I find helps a lot. Like again with my friend from Paul, and when we get to the 14th or 15th, and we're like, I'm pretty tired now. So I think that fitness is important, getting you through that 18 holes. And I mean, we don't carry our bags. We've got the push carts or so, but it's still a fairly long walk. And if you can make it through to that whole 18 holes feeling kind of fresh, then you can actually concentrate on your shots better rather than
Mhm.
feeling tired and actually losing concentration as a result of your tiredness, because
Sure.
you won't even realize that happening. So general cardio fitness, which is great in terms of CrossFit and intensity training, which just helps you feel fitter and get more output. Those would be my priorities, I think. Core, general fitness, and the strength can help to an extent as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And what sort of things are you doing maybe before the round? Are you somebody that will just do some stretching to get ready for the round, or are you somebody that would like to maybe get a quick workout in the morning to loosen up? What sort of things do you recommend in terms of what to do before, let's say, maybe practice or a round of golf?
It's a good question. Well, for sure, I'll have a breakfast if it's a tournament. I've forgotten that before. I hadn't had enough to eat, and I'm like starving by halfway. But yeah, definitely have a decent breakfast. Don't let your stomach bother you halfway through the round. Maintain your concentration. I might have a few short game practice swings, some chips or putts on the green, definitely just to get the feel. And generally mobility drills are good. So you have your things like your active stretching is kind of leg swings or your trunk twists and those kind of things, just to get you
Hmm.
kind of loosened up. uh more your active stretching than your passive lying down stretching in one place, because your muscles aren't really warm anyway. So I'll definitely do my active stretching, arm swings or leg swings, and my torso rotations and things like that. uh, Maybe obviously a nice few practice swings with the driver or the 3-wood as well. Can't do any harm. Those kind of things are, yeah, that's a good point you mentioned. That I should probably do those more. I don't know if actually practice what I preach, but if I had to do it perfectly, that would be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, besides from maybe like the fitness side, you've also got the nutrition side as well. And I guess
Mm.
people that are going to the gym, there's normally some standard, kind of fairly standard, what you'd say meal plans that people should use to go to the gym and build muscle, etc. But again, in terms of golf and getting the best out of your golf, is there any sort of meal plan or nutrition that you'd recommend following as to partner that the workouts, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person. You know, I think by now most people know the good and bad things, what you want to avoid. So I mean, you don't want to drink too many sodas or too many fatty foods or too many carbs. But I actually do recommend a bit of carbs, like bananas or sweet potatoes or something the night before. And those kind of carbs are actually the carbs you want to use, and carbs are not actually an enemy when you're trying to look for sustained energy and that kind of thing. So definitely have a nice balanced diet. I'm not one to judge if you have a McDonald's now and then. I mean, I have a pizza now and then, I have a burger, but try and do the 75 to 80% good diet. Have your lean meats, have your broccoli and your chicken, do those things most of the time, and then your cheat meals or your chocolates or the things you shouldn't have, they'll actually taste that much better because you're being focused in general. So yeah, have a nice balanced nutrition plan. I don't recommend extreme diets in any form. I'm not a fan of keto or zero carbs or zero fats. I think they kind of just cause problems in the long run. I would say keep it balanced, keep it healthy. And then you should be fine going ahead.
That's good. Make sure you're not hungry during the round. It's a good important tip.
Yes,
must have been a
for
bad
sure.
day.
Yeah, sometimes my buddy and I, we're having a terrible round, and after 9 holes, we're just like, okay, do you want to get a drink? Let's have a few drinks, and the next 9 will go better. Yeah.
And in terms of what you're doing then as a fitness coach, are you kind of teaching people to get in shape to get better at golf, or is it more just general fitness? And if not, is that something that maybe you're going to look to do in the future, either on your Instagram or off social media, in terms of educating people and teaching people more about how to improve their fitness for golf?
I would love to get involved in more golf specific fitness. Yeah, definitely. Even to work with someone who is perhaps not where they want to be in terms of fitness and in their golf fitness, for instance. Yeah, I would definitely be open to that. I would love to do it. At the moment, I'm coaching at a general fitness gym, which we do CrossFit and all, but I am looking into getting into more personal training side of things, and I would be very happy to take on a golfer or someone like that who wants specific training to help their golf. I would actually enjoy that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, maybe some videos on YouTube as well. Be pretty cool.
Yeah, I
like
mean,
different drills and exercises.
I think so. You can maybe help me out with that. I need to get the YouTube up and running better.
Of course, you let me know. Well,
Awesome.
anyway,
Thanks, Alex.
yeah, I mean, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Great to meet you, and I appreciate your time coming on today. So just to
Likewise.
remind everybody, if they want to find you on Instagram, it's Derick Golf. Can they find you anywhere else at the moment on social media or anything else, or is it just Instagram?
Derick Golf on Instagram, Derick Vorster on Facebook. They're welcome to add me, and especially if they're interested in golf or fitness. I'm very happy to chat to anyone. That'll be cool.
Awesome, man. Great to talk to you, and thanks again for your time. Thanks, everybody.